Yeah. Okay, here we go. Bitch, please. I will fucking end you. Bitch, please. Okay. Okay, I've lost my jackhammer. Oh shit, I made it. I don't like that one. Okay, I have a way out. Oh shit. Oh wait, do I have... I can do a slide. Oh shit, there's more than one? I don't know what the fuck that is. What? What the fuck? What the fuck just happened? Where'd all my fucking stuff go? Where'd all my fucking coin go? What the fuck happened? Oh, come on. What the fuck? What the fuck happened? Okay, maybe that's right. Maybe that's right. Okay, where am I? I need to go back here. That's just fucking annoying at this point. Oh, you motherfucker! Bitch.
This is my overarm dust collector for my table saw. And this is my shop-vac cyclone that I built a few years ago. And together, these two work really well at collecting dust from above the blade on the table saw. What would make this setup better though is to have a dedicated one of these just for the overarm that's smaller and maybe mounted on the wall so it's out of the way and always hooked up. I like how this one's been working ever since I built it, so I'd like to build another one just like it, except quite a bit smaller, because the volume of dust that gets collected here is not that great. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I turn this old shop vac into this mini dust collector. I'm going to start by making the blower, since it's the most complicated part of this. And I've already got the blower housing marked out on this piece of plywood, and I got two of them stacked together so I can cut out the top and bottom of the blower at once. Well, I already messed up. These two pieces of plywood aren't the same size. I thought they were big enough to cut two pieces out at once, but obviously this bottom piece isn't big enough to cover the top. Start over. I didn't cut all the way up to the pencil line so that I could finish sanding right up to the line using my vertical belt sander. Before I separate the two halves, I'm going to put a hole right through the center so that I know where the center is and I can line them back up. Both the top and the bottom of the housings have holes cut in them, and the bottom housing has a 2 3/8 hole, which I happen to have a hole saw for, so I'll cut that using the hole saw. And the top has two different hole sizes cut into it, one that is all the way through and one that is just halfway through, and those are much larger. So to cut those out, I'm going to use my favorite method for cutting circles, and that's my router with a circle template. And my circle template's just a piece of plastic screwed to the router base with a drill bit drilled in at the right location for the pivot point. So the wood pieces are pretty much done, and so next to connect them together to make the housing, I got this piece of sheet metal, which is just cut from some HVAC vent piping that would be in your house, and it's pretty thin so it's easy to cut, but it's stiff enough that it'll make a decent housing. So I just got to cut it, and since it's pretty thin, I'll just cut it with a razor blade. To make sure no air escapes between the metal housing and the top and bottom wood plates, I'm going to put on this foam gasket, and that'll seal between the two parts. If I go to put a screw through this foam right now, the screw threads would probably bugger this all up and twist it. So I'm going to cut out each one of the holes with just a piece of brass tubing, and that'll cut through the foam and leave a hole for the screw to go through. I added some more of the foam gasket to the top of the blower housing where the motor is going to connect to seal the motor to the housing. And with that, the blower is pretty much done, and we can move on to getting the motor mounted. The motor, of course, I'm going to steal from this old shop vac, and I've already taken it apart and taken out the motor and the impeller that is inside the shop vac. And these are the only two components I'm going to use from the old shop vac. Now I need a way to attach my motor to the new blower housing, and to accomplish that I've 3D printed this motor mount, and it screws onto the motor just like it did in the shop vac, and then this whole thing drops down into the blower housing, and this flange adapts it to the housing and provides a place to screw it all together.
Damn it.
Let's test it out. With the blower working now, I could move on to the rest of the dust collector, which is the collection bucket and the cyclone portion. And that's really just a whole bunch of more circles and rings to cut out, so let's get to it. Off camera, I went ahead and finished up cutting out all of the rings that make up the collection bucket and cyclone. And so we've got the bottom of the collection bucket here, and then the top of the ring for the collection bucket here, and then above the collection bucket will be the cyclone chamber, and that's these two rings, and also the baffle right here. And then on top of all of that is this top ring, and that encloses the cyclone, and that's also where the blower will mount to. To start connecting these rings together, I've got this piece of 1/16 inch polycarbonate, and I'm going to cut this into two strips. One will be for the collection bucket, and one will be for the cyclone chamber. And since this is pretty thin and easy to cut, I'll just use a razor blade. With the polycarbonate sheets attached to the rings, it's starting to look like something now. But I still need to close up the seam where the polycarbonate comes together. And for that, I'm going to cut two strips on the table saw out of some more plywood. The outside diameter of the polycarbonate is 10 inches, and that so happens to be the same diameter as my table saw blade. So I'm going to use that to my advantage and set up my table saw and my table saw sled so that I can cut that 10-inch arc into this strip of plywood, and that way it will match the outside diameter of the polycarbonate perfectly and will make for a very nice fit. The cyclone action of this dust collector is made possible by this baffle, which is suspended in the center of the cyclone region. And it's suspended with this piece of 2-inch pipe from the top plate. And I already went ahead and cut a notch in this piece of pipe for where the air is going to come in and go into the blower. And then this piece gets attached to the baffle itself. So I'll go ahead and get that screwed on. To prevent any large chips from getting sucked up into the impeller, I'm going to go ahead and add this piece of wire mesh around the opening here, and that'll help catch anything from going into the blower. I need a way to connect the collection bucket to the cyclone and rest of the unit, and to do that I want to use the same method that I used on my other shop-vac dust collector, and that's by adding a couple of locator pins between the two rings to help line them up, and then a couple of aluminum latches on either side to help hold the two pieces together. For the bucket latches, I made these two pieces out of aluminum, and they're similar to my old ones on my other dust collector, except I made them a little bit longer so they're easier to open and close. The collection bucket, cyclone separator, and blower are pretty much complete now, so I can move on to the last major component, which is the inlet. And I'll make that from more of the black 2-inch pipe and more of this plywood. The construction is essentially complete at this point, but I need a way to hang this on the wall. And for that, I'm going to use a French cleat. And I already made up this mounting plate that's going to screw to the back of the cyclone here. And then the cleat that gets attached to the wall is right here. And that will provide a nice and secure way to hang it from the wall, yet make it easy to take it on and off if I ever need to. Now it's time for my least favorite part, but probably the most transformational, and that's a couple layers of paint. I've got 2 coats of my trusty red and black paint on all the parts, and so it's time for final assembly. before I put the last couple of pieces together, I need to silicone all the joints to make sure that this is an airtight assembly. I need to give the silicone I just applied at least overnight to cure, and so I'll come back tomorrow and finally test it out. It's been several days, so the silicone is fully cured at this point, and while it was drying, I added this flange to the outlet of the blower, and that allows me to connect this outlet adapter, which I 3D printed, and it adapts from the square outlet to a 2-inch diameter fitting that will work on my other 2-inch piping. There's more of this foam gasket on the back, and it provides a nice seal against the flange. You're probably wondering where my filter is at, and if I was going to put a filter on here, I would do something like this, like add a 90-degree elbow to the outlet, and then take a shot back style filter and build a mount for that so that the outlet can vent through this filter. However, I want to experiment with something different, and I want to try venting this to my main dust collection system. And so for now, I'm not going to put a filter on it, and so let's hook it up that way and see how it works. I've got the dust collector plugged into a remote controlled outlet up there, so I can turn it on and off with this remote. And then I've got a short bit of hose for the inlet. I've got the outlet hooked up through a blast gate to my main trunk of the dust collector, so it will vent through that filter. And I've got a pile of dust here to suck up, so let's try it out. Let's try that again, but this time with a smaller diameter hose, but a little bit longer. Well, I think this turned out really awesome, and I'm very happy with how it's working so far. Even with that fine dust that I was sucking up, most of it ended up in the collection bucket. Obviously, quite a bit of the finest dust gets swirled around and then sucked through the blower. But that's not really a big problem because I'm always going to be venting this either through my main dust collector or through its own filter, or I might even try venting it outside. So that's not really a problem for me. I built this for the intention of always using it with my overarm dust collector. And so my next video, I plan on mounting this to the wall, getting it all hooked up, and taking some measurements of the airflow and the pressures and seeing how the system works and does it affect my main dust collector if I have it hooked to it. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. What do you think of my blower?
Big thanks to Brilliant for sponsoring this video. A few weeks ago, a big truck pulled up next to my house and unloaded a large wooden crate. Inside that crate was none other than a brand new Stepcraft M1000 CNC router.
Wowee.
I'm super excited about this because now I can cut almost anything I want out of aluminum, wood, carbon fiber, foam, and more. But this video isn't about what I'm making.
Bunk? Shrona.
Lieutenant?
Is it really Lawrence Hammond?
Yes, it is.
What was he doing here?
Well, we're just kicking that around now. I think he got lost, or maybe he was meeting someone.
Doesn't make any sense. Isn't that a, what do you call it?
Global positioning system. It was on, but it wasn't working. There was no disk in the computer.
Maybe somebody took it.
Oh, maybe.
The shooter was here, waiting. Hammond drives up.
Yeah, right. We found the casings. The shooter comes in here, pop, 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 4 rounds into the wife.
Oh my God.
He shot the wife first.
Then Hammond. Hammond was shot once, but it wasn't fatal. He tried to get away.
Oh my God.
He gets out, runs. The shooter gets back into his car, runs him down.
Oh my God.
But Hammond still wasn't dead.
Oh my God.
In the morning, he crawled away.
Oh my God.
He crawled for 2.5 miles. Truck driver found him. 9 a.m. near Route 12.
I'd like to talk to him.
Okay.
Captain, he shot the wife first. Why would he do that? I would have done the husband first, wouldn't you?
I don't know, Monk. It's never come up.
He didn't even stick around to make sure Hammond was dead.
Maybe he got interrupted.
He lured them here somehow to kill her.
Who, the wife? She's a nobody. Lawrence Hammond's worth $1 billion. He had at least 100 enemies.
No. Lawrence Hammond is an afterthought. She was the primary.
This is Norm Mosley. He was the truck driver who found Lawrence Hammond.
Was Mr. Hammond dead when you found him?
He was barely hanging on. He died before the paramedics showed up.
Did he say anything?
Yes, sir. He said girls can't eat 15 pizzas.
Come again.
Girls can't eat 15 pizzas.
Is that it?
Yes, sir.
You sure?
He said it like 5 times. Then he died.
Girls can't eat 15 pizzas. What the hell does that mean?
Well, it's true, they can't.
Well, that depends. How many girls are we talking about?
Hang on. Were there any girls nearby eating pizza?
No, sir. I figured he was delirious, but he kept saying it.
Girls can't eat 15 pizzas. No. Forget it. No, never mind.
Oh, good swing.
Really?
Yeah, you're natural. Just remember, if you're weight on your back foot, don't be afraid of the ball. Yes!
Good hit, Benji!
That is a double in any ballpark in this country.
Thank you, Adrian. I thought I'd thank you now, because in a half an hour, you're probably going to piss me off again.
You're welcome.
I missed her so much. They say when people lose a leg, they can still feel it. That's what it feels like.
I know.
That was better.
How do you just keep going? How do you keep working?
When Trudy fell in love with me, I was a detective. I was on the street, breaking cases. So I keep working. I keep trying to be the man she loved. That's all you can do. Be the man she loved.
Hey, Benji, don't forget help.
What's help?
H-E-L-P, hands together, elbows up, level swing, patience.
H-E-L-P.
Yeah, it helps me remember. It's, what do you call it?
Mnemonic device. Sharona, call the captain.
GCE15P, girls can't eat 15 pizzas.
It was a mnemonic device.
I understand. That's good work, Mom.
I remembered how the housekeeper said that Lawrence Hammond never forgot a birthday. A lot of successful people use little tricks to memorize information.
Yes, that I understand.
Right, and obviously, Hammond made up the phrase to help him remember the license plate of the car that ran him down. G stands for girls.
Adrian. You gets it, okay? We all get it.
Girls can't eat 15 pizzas.
Captain, the car's hot. Stolen from the Presidio Sunday night.
Is this blood on the bumper?
Yes, sir. We got a positive match. It's Lawrence Hammond's. You ready for this?
Ready for what? Just say it, Randy. What?
We found this underneath the rear seat cushion. It's for one of those global positioning systems. It's homemade. The guy programmed it himself.
Well, this is what he used to lure Hammond and his wife to that industrial park.
Right.
Okay? Start putting together a list of computer geeks who can do that sort of thing.
It's jungle out there. Disorder and confusion everywhere. No one seems to care. Well, I do. Hey, who's in charge here? It's jungle out there.
Brian Babbage wanted to kill his brother and sister. He found a way to mail a bomb in May, but not have it be delivered until August. It was quite brilliant, really.
Yes, it was. Although by doing so, he violated 2 federal laws and a score of postal regulations. Go on.
When I recently saw some wallpaper peeling off a wall, it reminded me of the ketchup bottles in Brian Babbage's closet. They were glued to the ceiling. The glue was the key.
There was no glue in the bomb. It wasn't part of the bomb. It was part of the delivery mechanism.
Exactly.
It was an experiment, a stress test. The ketchup bottles weighed about the same as the mail bombs. He was trying to find out how long they would stick before they fell off.
I don't get it.
Tamil. 4 months ago, Brian Babbage went around the city late at night, cracked open the panel on a couple of these mailboxes.
These locks are pretty simple to pick. I've talked to my supervisors, but they don't listen.
Tamil.
Don't make waves.
Tamil.
Everybody just wants to hit their 20 and get out.
I can take it from here. Brian put the bombs in the mailboxes, but he didn't put them on the bottom with the rest of the mail. He glued them to the top. You see, it's a blind spot. Nobody ever looks up there. Why would they? 4 months later, the glue dries up, the bomb falls down, and the next day the mailman picks it up with the rest of the mail.
It was like a time-released mail bomb.
The U.S. Post Office unwittingly became the messenger of evil. Who'd have thunk it?
Well put, Tamil.
By the time they were delivered, Brian had a perfect alibi.
He put himself in a coma? That's his alibi? That's the stupidest plan I ever heard of. He came this close to killing himself.
I was stumped too, but then I realized that wasn't his plan at all. No one would plan to be in a coma.
His idea was to get himself arrested so he would be in jail when the bombs were delivered. That's why he tried to lead us on a car chase. He figured he'd be in jail for 7 or 8 months.
He even picked out a terrible lawyer to make sure that he wouldn't get off.
But he screwed up and he hit a truck.
And then a car, then another car.
Brian Babbage stumbled, literally by accident, into the best alibi in the history of crime.
I mean, where's your proof?
Brian Babbage woke up this morning. I have arranged for all of us to pay him a little visit.
This is going to be great.
Not you.
Mr. Babbage?
Maria.
Oh, you're awake. It's a miracle. I
came as soon as I heard. Sorry about your sister and your brother.
Thank you, Maria. The doctor just told me about them. I can't believe it.
I won't stay long. I just wanted to welcome you back, and I brought your mail.
What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I started
It's a
to open.
bomb! It's a bomb! Get down! Get down!
I can't help but wonder what made you think that was a bomb, Mr. Babbage.
Brian Babbage, good morning. You're under arrest for the murder of your sister, Amanda.
Where is it? I don't know, man. Why don't you look in the cherries?
Hey, wait a minute. These napkins are the same. Hey, he said he'd never been there.
Who said?
The coin dealer. Sorry, Mr. Monk. We gotta go. Up and away, Randy.
We gotta go.
Bye, Nick. See ya.
Just hurry! It's on Harrison Street, called the Bay City Cafe.
You mind telling us what's going on?
Gully was right. It's a different city after dark.
Who's Gully?
He's the guy who stole my wallet. I learned a lot from him. Here's what happened. Nothing I saw was real. It was all a con game. There were 3 of them. Grifters, looking for an easy mark. And they found one. A coin dealer named Jacob Posner. Posner thought he was buying drugs, but it was all a show for his benefit. They wanted Posner to think that he was in serious trouble. They told Posner they could cover it up and make it all go away for a price. They were all in on it. The drug dealer, the so-called cop, and the waitress, Zena Davis. They only had a few minutes, but it was enough time to clean up all the blood before I got back. Posner thought he was paying them hush money. He gave them dozens of coins, rare coins. They must have been worth a fortune. He had no idea he'd been conned until later, when we showed up. We mentioned that the dead cop was in fact alive and well, and we just had seen him at the train station. Posner realized he'd been conned. He didn't take it very well.
That's a hell of a story. I guess I'll be reading all about it tomorrow night. Here we are.
Can you go around back?
Keep moving. Go. Come on. Come on, come on.
Hey, relax, man. You get your coins.
You're damn right I will. Just keep walking.
Nice shot.
Going somewhere?
Hello? Hello, can you see me?
Yes, Mr. Monk, we could see you. But don't touch anything. No, Mr. Monk, it's fine.
Look, here I am.
Yeah, don't touch it. It's fine. Okay, so everybody's here, including the captain.
Yeah, and me. Hey, Monk.
Is that Randy? What are you wearing?
Please stay. Where are you?
That's her bedroom.
So it would appear Linda was playing some music, remember?
You see, I told you he was stalking me. Now, can't you do anything?
Leland, I've been trying to call you all day. Something I have to show you. I know how she did it.
Leland, please, just get me out of here. Please, I can't take this anymore. Let's just go, right now. Let's just go to the airport.
Can't leave now. We've got reservations.
Oh, forget Hawaii. Let's just disappear. We can start over. Maybe South America, maybe Venezuela.
I think it's coming from down there.
You can turn that off.
What's your bedroom?
It's not her bedroom. It's a replica. It's a duplicate. Here's what happened. You rented this truck under your maiden name and went to work. You duplicated everything. The furniture, the computer, the curtains, even the pictures. You must have been planning it for months. You began talking to the captain every night from your bedroom at 6:30. Except for last Friday. Last Friday, you were talking from a parking lot a couple of blocks from that house in Novato. From a robot, satellite.
Wireless internet.
Whatever. That night,
What I bought.
you chatted with the captain like you always did. You fooled him. You fooled me. You fooled everybody. At 7 o'clock, you signed off and snuck into the house. You knew Sean Corcoran had an appointment there at 7:15. All you had to do was hide and wait. And it worked. Except for the part about the truck getting towed. That was a tough break. When were you gonna go pick it up? The next time Leland left town?
How did you know? The pen.
The night we talked, you put the pen down on the table. I remember. And it rolled a little. But yesterday, in your bedroom, in your real bedroom, it didn't roll. It just stayed there. I couldn't figure it out. And then it hit me. On the night of the murder, your bedroom must have been on a slant. You parked on a hill.
I parked on a hill.
I'm here to arrest you for the murder of Judge Kate Lavinio.
That's a warrant. Duly sworn. Sweetheart, I'm gonna have to call you back. Doctor, will you call Howard Klein and tell him we're suing the city for malicious prosecution again?
I have hired a local construction company to take out this door. We're gonna get a crane in here and lower your fat ass down to the street.
A crane? Oh, that's rich. But would you mind explaining to me how I'm supposed to have killed the bitch? I can't leave this room, remember?
Mr. Monk!
Well, my. It's the defective detective once more. Lay it on me, Einstein.
These two chairs are from the judge's house. The killer stood on one of them when he turned off the smoke alarm. A girl in the neighborhood saw, quote, a very, very fat man standing on it. There's something funny about the chair. It's not broken. This is Sergeant Cargill from the 14th Precinct. Sergeant, how much do you weigh?
265.
Would you mind? So how could a very, very fat man have stood on it? There's only one explanation. He was a fat man. Not a heavy man. Lieutenant! I visited your clinic today and borrowed one of your empathy suits. Fat, but not heavy. believe we have another warrant, sir.
You're joking.
You were in it together. You killed her. Fat Man planned it, but you did it. It was brilliant. You killed her, and then you left clues behind to make it look like Beiderbecke did it. Why? She's the only person on Earth who couldn't possibly have done it. You wore enormous boots to leave big footprints. Breaking in was no problem. The housekeeper told you about the hide key. I admit I was confused until I figured out the sequence of events. First, you killed the judge. Then, you ransacked the house. Of course, you needed a witness. You put on one of your fat suits, set off the alarm, and then waited until you were sure somebody was watching. And finally, you called 911. And you're great with voices. We've all heard you.
That's right downstairs.
Beiderbecke even supplied you with videotapes of the judge so you could practice.
This is insane. Why would I risk everything?
Well, you really didn't have a choice. Where'd you go? I knew Christiane wasn't your real name as soon as you said you were 37 years old. You told Sharona that you were named after Christian Barnard, but he wasn't famous until 1967, after you were born.
I put the FBI on it. They were looking for you. Your real name is Glenn Q. Sindel. You killed a child 5 years ago.
Accident.
You were operating on her so doped up you couldn't see straight.
Accident.
Convicted of manslaughter and reckless endangerment, you were looking at 15 years minimum. You jumped bail before sentencing, and then you disappeared.
Until now. And somehow, Beiderbecke learned your secret, and from that moment on, he owned you. Didn't he?
Listen, I just have to say, fantastic work, really. Both of you, kudos. And for the record, I am shocked that my personal position is both a fugitive and a cold-blooded killer. Shocked. But you can't really tie me to the crime, can you?
Well, now, that really depends on Mr. Sindel. What do you say, Glenn? Would you like to talk to us?
It will be my pleasure. I'm looking forward to testifying against you. Maybe once and for all I can redeem myself for everything I've done. All the pain I've caused. I detest you.
Do you?
With every fiber of my being. Beiderbecke, you're an abomination. An odious, gluttonous, putrid freak of nature.
Wow, it's been a long time since anyone's called me that. Listen, by the time my lawyers are through with you, you're not gonna know which end is up. There's not a prison in the country that can hold me.
There are very few shopping malls that can hold you. But nonetheless, we're gonna give it a try.
What's he doing?
I think he's trying to kill me. Wasn't really much of a fight, was it?
It's jungle out there. Disorder and confusion everywhere. No one seems to care. Well, I do. Hey, who's in charge here? It's jungle
Okay, I need everybody to stand exactly where they were after the shots were fired. Miss St. Clair, you were standing right here.
What is the point? We know who tried to kill my husband. It was that lunatic. What's his name?
Ian Sykes. Probably halfway to Mexico by now.
That's true, Mr. Goodman, if you would. That's true, Ian Sykes got away.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, and I feel terrible about that. But today we're looking for his accomplice, the person who hired Ian Sykes.
Are you a poker player, Mr. Monk? Because you're either bluffing your ass off here or you're sitting on a very sweet hand.
Well, let's find out. Sir, all week long, I have been racking my brain who would want to take a shot at you. Then last night it occurred to me, maybe we've all been asking the wrong question. Maybe the shooter hit exactly what he was aiming at. Your bodyguard.
That's insane. Who'd want to hurt Jason Ronstadt?
That's not exactly showing initiative.
Right, but what if... What if Jason Ronstadt was the bodyguard who knew too much? You were dipping into the war chest again.
You gotta be kidding.
That's old news, Monk.
Mr. St. Clair, bear with me, please, sir. On your mark. Here's what I think happened. Nicole Vasquez was going over the books, and some numbers didn't add up.
Excuse me, sir. I just wondering if I could talk to you for a sec. It seems that a large sum of money is going into a different account.
She asked you about it, and you brushed her off.
Thanks for catching it. That's what I pay you for. All right, I'll look into it, all right? Stop.
Maybe you even accused her of stealing the money.
Can you believe this guy? You are out of your mind. Out of your mind.
You started to worry the girl might talk. You couldn't buy her off. She had a little something we call integrity. So you decided it was time to hire somebody to kill her. But who? You asked Jason Ronstadt. But he turned you down. You were in hell, surrounded by honest people.
I don't have to stand here and listen to you. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Okay. Thanks, Captain. You kept shopping around. You found a professional, Ian Sykes. Sykes killed the girl. But you still had one loose end left. Jason Ronstadt, the first guy you asked.
Hell, that's all right. Flying 17 combat missions in the Gulf wasn't easy. Flying a fleet of mothballs easy.
Killing Jason Ronstadt in public was brilliant. Because everyone assumed it was an assassination attempt. And you got a twofer. Your problem is eliminated, and your candidate gets to look heroic.
I don't suppose you're going to be able to prove any of this.
Well, here was your mistake.
My mistake?
Hey. This photograph was taken seconds after the shooting. That's you, isn't it? Pointing up at the sniper?
Yeah.
He's up there! Up there!
You're the only one pointing. How did you know where he was?
Because I saw him. He was right up there. Look.
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. Gentlemen, if you please. Last Thursday, there were approximately 400 balloons right here. There's only one way you could have known where Ian Sykes was. You hired the man.
This is totally ridiculous. I mean, it all happened so fast. It was chaotic. It was chaos. Maybe I didn't see him. Maybe I heard the shots.
You heard them?
Yes, I definitely heard them. We all heard them. They were coming from up there.
Well, if that's true, then you won't have any trouble finding Sharona.
What?
She is up there in one of these buildings with a starter's pistol. Jekyll, this is Jekyll.
Are you all set?
Anytime, Jekyll.
Let's do it. It's kind of like an echo chamber, isn't it? You take another chance? Jekyll, we're going for best out of 3. There?
No, over there.
Are you sure?
No, wait. Do it again. Do it again!
And you called yourself my Moses.
Like the real Moses, he won't be joining you in the promised land.
Warren, I didn't have any choice. That girl, Nicole, she would have buried me. She would have buried both of us. What?
Okay, Sharona, cut it out. That's enough. We got him. It's over. It's all over. Sharona?
It's jungle out there. Disorder and confusion everywhere. No one seems to care. Well, I do. Hey, who's in charge here? It's jungle out there.
Oh, look at all this stuff. I guess we have to pack it all up.
Let's worry about it after the funeral. I still can't believe this. She beat cancer twice to die like that. Hit by a baseball.
At least she didn't suffer.
Oh, her fish. They must be starving. There you go. I know. I miss her too. What's that?
Bills, mostly. I'll give them to the lawyer. Bethy? Bethy, look at this.
What is it?
What is that? Is that a baseball? It's postmarked Tuesday. That was 3 days before she died.
So what did you find at her house?
Over here.
Voodoo doll.
Yeah, we've already traced it from a store in the Haight. Reverend Jorgensen's Voodoo Boutique. We just sent Fetterman and Kramer up there to take a look.
It was postmarked last Tuesday in Nob Hill.
Check the post office. Postmark is 100% legit.
So here's what we have. The doll was mailed 3 days before she died. And I'm looking at it, but it's just not possible.
So this morning, the super comes in to start packing up.
And what?
And this.
Postmark a week ago, Nob Hill.
Well, go ahead and open it.
No, you can open it, sir.
I'll open it. Although, technically, I am just a consultant.
Sergeant, you're not helping.
Yes, sir.
I'll open it.
It's another doll, isn't it? What's this case, Mr. Monk? I hate this case.
What? Two voodoo dolls.
3. The captain called an hour ago.
Say hello to doll number 3.
Heart attack.
Yep.
Victim number 3, Robert Boyd, 64 years old. That was a big fish. He owned Boyd Teletronics, you know, the cell phone company? So according to his niece, Angeline Dilworth, that's her right over there, he's had a bad ticker for years. She's been worried about him, especially this last week.
What is that?
Apparently he was obsessed with the voodoo killings. He was watching the news following the case.
He's real superstitious.
Yeah, so I see.
So he goes to collect the mail, including this box.
Yeah, same as the others. Postmarked 3 days ago, no return address. He opens the box, sees the doll. Bob's your uncle. His heart just stops.
Is there a problem?
It's upside down.
What is?
The horseshoe. It's supposed to point up, so the good luck stays in the shoe. He was a superstitious guy. I'm surprised he didn't know that.
Maybe that's why it didn't work.
Oh, we haven't met. I'm Adrian Monk.
Monk. I've heard of you. You're that famous detective. I'm Angeline Dilworth.
Right, I understand you were here alone when it happened.
That's right.
Did your uncle know the other victims, Martha Murphy or Ralph Ferris?
No.
Monk, Natalie just called from the driveway. She wants to go home.
Now?
Yep, she's in pretty bad shape, I can tell.
What?
Don't answer it. Don't answer it.
Oh, it's okay. I know who it is. It's okay. Thank you. Great. Natalie, this is Hadley Jorgensen. Reverend Jorgensen. Hello, Natalie. Captain Stottlemyre told me you had a problem. He thought I could help.
How do you know this will work?
Sister, I guarantee it. You shall be cleansed.
I think we're live. We'll see. Should be live. I see audio levels. Let me know in live chat if I'm not actually live. But yeah, we have a little bit of delay. I can see that I'm live on here, but I'm not even talking yet. But now I'm talking. So, let's see. YouTube is popping up all kinds of things because it's the first time I've live streamed on this new computer. Alright. So, why is it so hard to buy a Raspberry Pi right now? That's the title of the video. You can't buy one right now. Technically speaking, if you have tons of money and you want to pay like $150 for a Pi, you can buy a Pi. There's a few models that are really, really hard to get, like the unicorns, like an 8GB Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4. This is literally all, well, there's one over here that I'm working on. You can see, I'll go over to this view. There's one Pi over here that I'm doing some DVR testing on, NVR, DVR, whatever that is. And man, DVRs for any platform, not just Raspberry Pi, but x86 or anything, especially open source ones, they're a hot mess. Video on that will be coming out. But anyway, yeah, these are all the Pis I ever bought. I have not bought one of these since September 2021, so it's been over a year now since I have been able to find one of these. I actually bought most of them at Micro Center, I think. They were in stock. They had literally like 3 rows of CM4s at Micro Center when I was buying these things. But then component shortage and everything. But I wanted to give some clarity to why it is so hard to get them. What are some alternatives that you might consider? Why might you not want to consider an alternative for some people? And also, I'm going to be testing at the end of this video this focusing not working. Oh, there you go. This is from Big Tree Tech, the CB1. And before, I actually tested a rock chip RK3566 and a Pine 64 SO ports. These are CM4 compatible boards. Rock chip, the Radza one, the CM3, this one actually has a few interesting new features above and beyond what the CM4 does. So it's interesting, you know, other manufacturers are using the same form factor, the same pinout, and giving some more features, but there's some caveats. And if you go look at that video, I still have had some trouble with both of these boards, getting them to do all the things that I want them to do. So that's the topic for today's video. At the end of it, we'll try to get this guy going. We'll see if we can or not. We'll see if it's a good experience, but that's one of the things I want to talk about. Let's see. Video unchecked. Live. Okay, well, it looks like some people... My audio is too low. Hopefully that's not the case. It should be pretty good here. Let me... I'll preview it over in my other monitor. But sometimes it's different people's displays. Of course, I don't have speakers plugged into the computer. Yeah, turn it up. Alright, so anyway, this is definitely live. I don't normally talk like this. I talk a lot faster when I'm live, and if you distract me enough, I might not actually get to the points I have in my little outline here. But anyway, the reason why I'm doing this is because, well, two things. One is I'm doing it live because I was going to work on a video for this week, but life happened. No phone's still rolling. I have my shirt on tonight. Life happened, and I've had a lot of issues with my health. Tonight, I'm operating probably at about 80%, and we just got back from our family vacation, which was iffy whether or not that it could even happen. Luckily, it did. But anyway, life happened. I'm doing this live mostly because I wanted to do this as a big video, but big videos take, for a video like this, a lot longer to prepare. So doing it live lets me get through all the points more quickly and without as much upfront prep time. And I might make another video about this later once I get a few more boards in to compare and talk about, since this changes every few months how these other boards will fare, because the communities around them, some of them pick up steam and get some things working, others don't. But every video that I post for Pi Project, I get tons of comments about, well, it'd be great to do that if there were actually Raspberry Pis available, and I get it. You know, I do these projects mostly for the projects and the things that I want to do. I don't do them to promote Raspberry Pi. I've never been paid a dime by Raspberry Pi. I don't have any official tight relationship with Raspberry Pi. I do have a few contacts who I talk to about it, and I have gotten access to devices early from their alpha team for testing and things like that. So, you know, I'm not going to say that I don't have any official relationship with Raspberry Pi, but they don't pay me any money. I'm not... special relationship, and I use a lot of other computers and a lot of other SPCs and a lot of other embedded devices. So, you know, the reason I use Raspberry Pi a lot of times is because the community around it, the support for it, the ability to get things up and running quickly without having to do a lot of hard work and labor-intense things like spending a week just trying to get one driver going or something like that, except for GPUs, of course. But the last official update on this was in April. And if I go over to my browser here, I don't have the chat up on this computer, so I can't paste it in the chat. But if somebody wants to paste the link in there, YouTube might kick you out because it thinks you're spamming. But the last update was in April, and Eben Upton said, you know, it's hard to buy Raspberry Pis. Hard is an understatement. It's almost impossible to buy a Raspberry Pi at MSRP by itself from any vendor. And there's a lot of good reasons in here. But the bottom line was basically they were prioritizing their OEM customers. That's the manufacturers who partner with Raspberry Pi and have a special relationship. And like I did a video on NEC/Sharp of America. They make a display that can have a Raspberry Pi inside of it. So NEC is probably not the best example for it because they're a pretty big company. They have other options. They have alternative Intel modules you can slot in. So it's not going to kill them if they don't have a supply of Raspberry Pis. But there are some companies that make devices for industry, for commercial products and things that they formed a partnership with Raspberry Pi before the shortage. And they grew their whole business based on the fact that they could get these Raspberry Pis, and they contribute back patches to the kernel, they contribute back support. They have members who are makers in our maker communities, and not all of them are like that. There are some who are more like leeches that pull off things more than give back. But because of that, Raspberry Pi wants to make sure that they don't make businesses go out of business because they chose Raspberry Pi. And it's a business decision. And a lot of people are not going to like that. That's fine, you know. And I'm not super happy about it, but it is what it is. And so I actually talked to Eben and a couple other people at Raspberry Pi and asked about this and said, you know, it's been a long time. April was, I don't know, 6 months ago or so. Are there any updates to this? Are things looking better right now? And he basically said everything in the blog post is still valid. Things are still supply constrained. They're having, you know, they can't get the volumes of chips and other components in that they need to make these boards in higher volumes. And they're still prioritizing the OEM customers, but they are, he said, ring fencing. That's a business term. He's ring fencing some supply for customers. So if you go to a site like rpilocator.com, like I haven't checked them in a little bit, so rpilocator.com, it has a listing of places that do have Pis in stock, and this is updated very frequently. And if you're interested in getting a Pi, go here and set up alerts for it, because every once in a while, one of these places does have like a few hundred boards, and they sell out within a few hours. So, you know, that's probably the best way to get it right now, and they mentioned this in that blog post. But so when they ring fence a batch of these and send them to people, they do send out a few hundred at a time to different retailers, and the retailers send them. But that's why the retailers also are putting like estimated January, because they think it'll be January. It could be a little bit later. Maybe they'll get lucky and get them earlier. But it's better to give people a long estimate and then give them something sooner than give them something longer. And you know, sometimes they don't know how long it'll be, so it ends up being months out, or even like 2023, mid-2023, something like that. But they also even wanted to make it clear that if you are an OEM, or even if you are somebody in the community who has to get a Raspberry Pi for some reason and really needs to get them at MSRP or get them quickly or something like that, please email their email address. It's business@raspberrypi.com. You probably, I don't think everybody, like if I just emailed them, I don't think I would just jump up in line because I wanted an extra one. I have enough for my needs here. I use these for testing clusters. I use these for testing my NVR systems that I'm testing right now. So I do need like 5 or 6, maybe, I have 10 right now. So I need 5 or 6, and having a few extra is nice for me. But I don't need more, so I haven't bought any more. But if you are constrained, if you're having trouble, if you're working on this project for your senior's thesis or something, go ahead and email that address. That might get you to get one. But anyway, as I said earlier, he said the main goal is to not let the companies that rely on Raspberry Pis to kind of wither and die, because they have this relationship and they want to help each other and support each other, and hopefully once this thing is over, it won't be a big issue anymore. And he said that they're currently producing still 400,000 Raspberry Pis per month. I believe that's Raspberry Pis, not Picos in addition. I think the Picos are in addition to the Raspberry Pis in that number, but it was, the quote was 400,000 Raspberry Pis. So I don't know if that includes or not. We could get clarification maybe on Twitter. But the final thing that they said after I told them, like, I'm going to make this video, I'm going to talk about this stuff. Can I say these things? And they said yes. And they're not going to do any more official blog posts until they have something new to say. Hopefully that new thing will be like maybe in a few months. Supply is not an issue anymore. But they do want to mention that the big things for them is the software support, maintenance, quality control, things like that. That is why Raspberry Pis are hard to find. And you know, when you buy a Raspberry Pi, you can be sure that it's a Raspberry Pi. It's going to work. It has support. Even 10-year-old Raspberry Pis, like I have at the bottom of the stack, I have like an 8 Plus over here, and I have my original Raspberry Pi. All of these are still supported and run. That's even more than they originally promised, and that's pretty cool. And it means that, you know, even if you have an old stock of Raspberry Pis, if you have certain projects, you can run on them. So, I mean, that's all that I have from him directly. And I want to give a little bit of my opinion, too, because it does pain me to see when people are like, this project looks so cool, but lucky you already bought those in 2021. I actually ordered most of them in 2020. It took 6 or 7 months to come in. But I feel that pain, and I would like Raspberry Pi to start prioritizing hobbyists and makers again. It seems like that was the original intention: education, hobbyists, makers, and you know, a lot of the Raspberry Pi community is in the maker space, and it's hard to see those people having to choose alternatives, which is fine. Finding alternatives is good, and knowing the whole ecosystem is nice too, because ARM is not just Raspberry Pi for sure, and RISC-V can also be you know, an interesting alternative in the future. I'm exploring that as well. But they do seem to be able to prioritize Pico and Pico W, probably because the little, I don't have one on hand right here, it's in a box somewhere. But you know, the SoC on the Raspberry Pi is, you know, I don't know, 40 millimeters or something, 20 millimeters, I don't know how big that is, but the little custom silicone on the Pico is teeny tiny, so they can fit a ton more on a single wafer, so they can produce tons of those, even in a shorter run. So they haven't had a problem with that. And also, you know, a lot of people, whenever I mention this stuff on Twitter or something, someone's like, oh, it's probably because they're focusing on the Pi 5 or whatever's next. And I can tell you for sure that's not the case. They've been continually saying the problem is capacity. And it's not just Raspberry Pi, it's car makers and it's other people that are making silicon, any kind of chips, are having the same issue. So that's the big problem here. You know, me just guessing, postulating based on what I see elsewhere in the industry, is that it probably won't change this year for the better. It'll probably be another at least 3 to 6 months before we start seeing a change. And, you know, the global economy, how things are doing between different countries and things also has effects on that. You know, TSMC and other chip manufacturers around the world have gone through some interesting changes the past few years. I put in a note here. Overall, my opinion on this is I am sad. Yes, that is, I don't know if I typed it a couple nights ago, so I am sad. But another thing that a lot of people have been asking me a lot is to do more videos on other SBCs, so not just the Raspberry Pi. And you can see on my desk here, I have my Raspberry Pi collection. I have all the models of Raspberry Pi. I have the 8 Plus and 3A Plus. I have my Pi Tray Mini here for testing the CM4 and my CM4 I/O board. But I have a few other boards in my organization over there. Sometimes what I've done is I would buy a board and I would start testing it, and I would be like, you know, I can't get this going to the point where I can do a good video on it and recommend it. I usually don't do a video on something that I wouldn't